I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success.
Welcome back to America Decides. That was President Donald Trump last month. On Monday, former President Biden issued preemptive pardons for his family, which the now current president weighed in about last night with Sean Hannity on Fox News.
This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon.
Jennifer Jacobs and Finn Gómez join us now, two of the best here at CBS. Jennifer is a senior White House reporter for CBS News. Finn serves as CBS News' political director. Great to have both of you here. Jen, let's begin with you. What's your latest reporting about President Trump? He was speaking virtually to Davos earlier today, taking on some of the bankers, taking on some of the foreign leaders. What's the core message, and what are you hearing behind the scenes?
Yeah, so elites have been something that's been on Trump's mind a lot lately. So I've got two things that I can talk to you about, and that is the elites that went to a very special fundraiser over at the inauguration weekend, and I can also talk to you about bankers. So I can start with the bankers. My sources have been telling me since early January that he'd had banks on his mind, not for any particular policy reason, but because it seemed like they were not courting him as a customer. I'd been told that he had rejected a meeting with JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon, and he had been searching for a new bank. He did eventually find one, but it did come out today when he was speaking to the elites at Davos. He kind of unleashed on one of the bankers who was on stage at Davos, Brian Moynihan from Bank of America. He said, hey, I hope you guys change. It seems like the banks have not been working with conservatives, not been doing business with conservatives, and kind of just let loose on the guy as he's in front of all these people at this global forum. So that was one thing. And then I know there were some bankers in the crowd at this inaugural event. It was called the Candlelight Dinner. So it's a tale of seat hijacking, which might seem like kind of a frivolous thing, but this is all about power and people trying to get close to President Trump and who's courting him, who's going to be in his good graces and who's not. So this was one of the coldest nights that we've had so far, one of the coldest inaugural eves in 40 years. You've got some of the wealthiest mega GOP donors freezing for up to 90 minutes, standing in line to try to get into this event. They get inside and they find that some of their name placards have been moved. And it had a cascading effect. There were the seats moved at the tables closest to where the president and first lady were going to sit, and then other people had gone in and had tampered with the other seating arrangements. So you had some very wealthy people whose name cards were switched. One person was sitting next to a cabinet secretary. His seat was moved across the table. So there were little seat thieves that were, at work here as everyone was kind of jostling to get up to the front. And then you had someone from another bank who had a very prominent seat, and people started talking about that, saying, hey, that's a banker who supported someone else besides Trump in the 2024 election. So it became quite the topic of conversation at this dinner about who was seated where, who was closest to who was in the room, who was stealing seats. It was quite a bit of drama, Bob.
Finn, what are you hearing about the Trump first week in office, the first week back?
I think they're absolutely just full of confidence and just they feel that they've achieved everything they've wanted to achieve in their first less than a week back in power. Not only with the historic amount of executive actions that he took on the first day throughout the week, but just frankly and just like the impact that he's having not only domestically but globally. Bob, I remember being with President Trump at his first visit to Davos back in 2018, I believe, and I remember going with him. And there at that time it was almost Gatsby, like from The Great Gatsby, where there was this guy who just wanted to be accepted, this boy from Queens. He just wanted to be accepted by these global economic leaders, and now he's going there and he's really sort of setting the tone. It's a very different Trump that we saw just a few years ago, and I think it's just very, and I think it's demonstrated not only by his speech but what he's accomplished. They feel that he's accomplished this past week.
Jen, you've done a lot of reporting on the West Wing, how it's being set up, not just in terms of personnel but in terms of office space. What are the new power dynamics inside of the Trump West Wing in terms of who's around the chief of staff, who has access to the Oval Office, and who might only have access to the Eisenhower Executive Office building.
Ooh.
That's something we're always
That's
studying,
good,
isn't
yeah.
it, Finn? So today, for example, Sergio Gore was at the White House, and a media personality, Charlie Kirk, was at his elbow. Sergio, of course, has been working on personnel and populating those offices in the West Wing. So Sergio came out to the North Lawn and did Fox News and said that they now have 1,300 political appointees out of the 4,000 that they're trying to reach. So Sergio is in the inner circle. In the Oval Office today, you had David Sachs, who is Trump's AI and cryptocurrencies czar. He was there as Trump was signing some executive orders. You had Margot Martin, who was a press aide in the last Trump administration, and now she is closer to Trump and has a seat right outside Trump's office, right in the outer oval is what they call it. A few people who have been with Trump and have been very loyal to him all along, including Walt Nauta. So it's always interesting. We're studying who's in the Oval, who Trump chooses to have with him when he invites the press in, and they're still sorting out whose offices are going to be where.
Jen, just to pause there for a moment, you mentioned this name Sergio Gore. Not everyone knows who Sergio Gore is. Who is Sergio Gore? He runs Office of Personnel.
Right.
Why is he powerful, and why does he have Trump's ear?
Yeah, he's popular in Trump world. He's a friend of Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr. He has been very professionally reaching out to various people who want jobs in the administration or working to recruit people. So if you're a VIP who is seeking a top position, you might get a phone call from Sergio Gore saying, tell me about your qualifications. How would you, handle this policy, or what's your vision for this, or what's your strategy on that? And he would kind of interview people on the phone. So he's been the person who's been working to just recruit people who he thinks would pass a loyalty test of some sort that would be very kind of obedient to Trump's vision and really stand by what the president wants and not go off on their own agenda.
Like the gatekeeper almost in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
To these positions, yeah.
Is Susie Wiles still a gatekeeper?
Oh, definitely. She's the most powerful gatekeeper.
Most powerful. Yeah, she is the gate. I mean, honestly, frankly, in that office, and what we've seen, what we talked about, what we all reported, is the fact that Susie Wiles comes into the office probably being the most powerful chief of staff in recent years, in recent administrations, and especially in Trump world. If you remember, Bob, who was Donald Trump's first chief of staff? Reince Priebus, the former RNC chair, who was considered very weak at the time. This is a completely different chief of staff.
Finn, do you believe Carolyn Leavitt, the new press secretary, is going to hold press briefings, or is there a new culture around how communications and press work inside of the Oval Office?
I think she is. She's told us that she will. I think she's also said that she does not want to step on the president if he's having public remarks, right, Jen? I think we both reported on the same thing.
Yes.
And that's what. So
she'll have them, but just not with the same regularity as we saw maybe with Karine Jean-Pierre.
Right, and I think we might see some guests in the briefing room, whether it's President Trump himself or others coming in to brief the press on different matters.
Oh, I could see that. I could definitely see that, especially a lot more than we saw with Joe Biden. That's definitely something we're gonna see. But also, if you recall, during the first Trump 1.0, Stephanie Grisham didn't hold a press conference for like a year, like 9 months. So you've seen those different types of examples set. But with this one, I think it'll probably be more on the lines of like Sarah Huckabee Sanders or maybe even Kayleigh McEnany towards the end of that first Trump tenure. I do think you're going to see her speak a lot. And I think it's going to be very, very, very more aligned with the president than what perhaps we've seen with previous spokespeople.
Finn Gómez, Jennifer Jacobs, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Bob.
We appreciate it.